Okay, we are reviewing Star Trek Strange New World Season 2, Episode 3, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I guess technically our second look at the new Captain Kirk. And this episode is all about timey-wimey time travel. And as we go through it, we're going to discover some interesting revelations that I believe will have Shane's brain on overdrive.
Well, I will say that celebrate good times. Come on. Yeah,
have a good time.
Because today's a celebration. Today's episode is a celebration. And while we're not going to be able to get to it till the end of it, you'll have to stick around for the rest of it. You'll see, while for Star Trek Legacy fans who've been consterned and frustrated with the current Discovery, Strange New Worlds stuff going on, it's going to be a good day for you people. So
if you do not know how it works, it's pretty simple. If we like something, we give it an upvote. If we dislike something, we give it a downvote. And at the very end of the video, we're going to average those two numbers and come up with an official Popcast score. Are you ready, Mr. Shane?
I am ready.
Okay, let's rock right up. Opening up with La'an. Did I say that right?
La'an, dude, you've got it. It took you a season and a half, but you were on it.
Yeah, only took a couple years. So she is there's a montage of her breaking up various fights around the ship, trying to, telling Spock that he needs to stop playing his lute so
the
loud.
Vulcan lute.
The Vulcan lute so loud, and he's like, "Who made this complaint?"
That's my first downvote.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one more time. I mean, look. After today, I don't have to worry about this no more. But until it happens, it's a downvote. Well, maybe it'll always be a downvote. But Spock would not be oblivious to the fact that La'an was the one who wanted him to turn the music down. Like, he'd be like, he would do something to make you. He just comes across as like this oblivious idiot, and I hate that.
Like, really, Lieutenant? Fascinating.
I'll play lower. Yeah, whatever.
I'll play it lower. All right. Also, she is she's going through. I'm sorry. What's the new lieutenant's name?
Pelia. Commander Pelia.
Commander Pelia. Apparently, Commander Pelia has a lot of relics for some reason that are possibly stolen from various museums, including the Louvre. I thought that was interesting. There was a. I'm gonna upvote this. There was a fun mention that she said a moment where she said, in case this whole socialist utopian thing doesn't work out, I want to make sure that I'm on top.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. Yeah,
right.
It's been going on for a while though. It's like it's kind of a funny joke, but at the same time it's like, wow, it's been kind of a socialist utopia for 100 years now, so but okay.
Right. She's sparring with Mbenga, and she's Mbenga. I'm saying that.
So here's, some people say Mbenga, and some people say Mbenga.
Mbenga
is easier. It's Mbenga, and some people do the sound of the M. Mbenga. Now Mbenga is irritating because it's the sound of the M. So I get it, like Mbenga.
Mbenga. I'm gonna say Mbenga, and he is trying to help her. He's like, listen, as your physician, you need to, relax or whatever. She says, I don't want to take any meds. And so she's sort of hostile with him.
I give an upvote here because, Mbenga is really coming through as a mentor for a lot of people. And also, you get the nice little headlights there. On the shot.
That's why you gave it an upvote? Because she has headlights?
Well, I upvote Mbenga, but I'm going to give it the assist with the
1.5 upvotes because...
I'm surprised they even let that shot go through, to frankly speaking.
I'm not.
Okay.
This is sexy Star Trek, bro.
No, it's not that sexy Star Trek. Like, okay, it's like now old Star Trek Legacy would have done that. Like TNG, yeah, they would have been all about that stuff. But they're very careful. They want sexy Star Trek, but they don't want perverted Star Trek.
Yeah, Old TNG. Right. Remember, there was an episode where very nubile young people walking around in pretty much just lace under things the entire time.
Right.
I did that as a teenager, that shocked me every time. Like, what the? Do I need? Yeah. Hold on. Can anyone see my screen right now?
Today's sensibilities just aren't there. Like, there is a much more. There's much more sensitivity surrounding the what's the word? objectifying women.
Mm-hmm.
And so allowing like private parts to show is just something they typically don't do, but okay.
Right.
We'll take it. But Mbenga's doing great. I mean, he's like mentoring people. He's mentoring Chapel. He's mentoring Spock. I can see it. He's got strength here. And he uses her to kind of get the better of her. And then he uses a teaching moment. So I get this character is coming across really strongly. And it's one of the things about Strange New Worlds I actually do like.
Okay. I mean, hey, if it does it for you, great.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Okay, so there's this moment where some guy stumbles into the corridor, and he is hurt, and he's in modern day clothing, and it looks like he's been shot. But she makes the point of saying not with a phaser, but with a bullet, as in a modern day weapon.
I mean, not that I thought it was funny. Like, there's only so much you can do to get rid of it. It's a little nitpicky, but I mean, she just glances at his wound. I mean, he could have been stabbed with something too. Like, there's no way to know there's a bullet hole underneath that
right.
suit. But okay, fair enough.
Right. Yeah. All right. That's true. And he gives her a device and with a warning. So it looks like he specifically picked out this point in time, and her in particular, to help him deal with whatever he's dealing with at this moment.
Yeah, he tells her to get to the bridge. So obviously there's more to it than just giving it to her. He also has a plan of some sort.
Right.
And then he disappears.
Get to the bridge. That's right. I forgot about that. So because she's holding the device, it looks like she is actually unaffected by the time that changes around her.
Yeah, so if you guys can't see it in the scene here, but they do a good job actually giving us like a time warp. You notice actually he dissolves, and the corridor there actually shimmers.
Right.
So you can tell like something has changed.
All right, so she goes to the bridge, and it's not Pike in the captain's chair. In fact, it is Captain Kirk.
Couple of interesting things to note here besides his, ma'am, can I help you? My first thing is, I don't know if Kirk would say this, but it's okay. It wasn't so bad. Ortegas is his helmsman, but there's another guy there sitting next to her that I don't recognize. We also get to see Uhura. She's there on the bridge. And we see Spock, but Spock is not on the Enterprise. He's the captain of a Vulcan vessel that's calling for help. Because apparently the Vulcan Empire is about to be destroyed by the Romulans.
Right.
Kirk's like, sorry, better luck next time.
Sorry, bud.
In this timeline, the Vulcans never join the Federation, and they don't link up with humanity. So
yeah,
something.
I found it very, and I'm not going to give it an upvote or a downvote, but like I thought it was very convenient that the one Vulcan they were talking to just happened to be Spock.
I mean, if you were going to make another one, I can't discredit them on that because, like, of course you're going to do this. If you're making this show with an alternate reality, you're going to use all of the characters in the different various situations. So it's okay. I mean, like, this is okay in this situation. Yeah,
so the Romulans are kicking the Vulcans' rear ends right now, and they want Earth's help, and they say no. The humans are actually not part of a federation. They are like the Human Alliance or something.
Yeah. We're not there yet. He will talk about that, though.
Okay.
But he looks so much. Go back to that shot one more time. He looks so much like Jim Carrey. I have to be honest with you.
He does look like Jim Carrey,
It just throws me off. Like, as great as this guy might be, wonderful actor as he is, it feels a lot like Jim Carrey sitting in the chair.
And especially because Jim Carrey did a sketch where he played Kirk.
Oh Jesus, you're right, and he does he was like, "Don't you want?" Yeah, he did.
Don't you?
Yeah, that is true.
The phasers, Mister. Yeah. So
maybe that's why it keeps popping in my head all the time.
Right.
I mean, he does kind of have the look. He doesn't talk like him, or he's not an idiot, but unless they're trying to make him one in the writers' room. But
right. So yeah, he basically asks, "Who are you, and why are you on my bridge?" He doesn't recognize her. So they go to his ready room, which notice no kitchen. Which I gotta be honest, that's an upvote from me. That's an upvote from me, dog.
Would have been great if he would have said something like, "I don't cook." Okay.
Right. Would you like something to drink? He goes, "Yeah, there's no kitchen in here."
He's got lots of alcohol, though. Look at that.
He does. He's flush with the alcohol. So she tries to explain the situation that time changed. It's not right. Blah blah blah. I actually liked his reaction here because he was like, "Well, a better idea is that you're just crazy." I mean,
except you're not in any of my. So she doesn't exist in this timeline at all,
right?
Which is interesting,
right? So she pulls out the device to show him, and so he's going to basically throw in the brig. And long story short, he grabs the device. He goes, "Give me the device," and they struggle over it, and they're zapped into the past. Zip.
Yeah, I'm sure the people in the writers' room sat around going, "How the heck are we going to get him to the past when he's not?" And so, having a struggle over the device with a button, I guess that makes it pretty simple time travel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. And now they're in is it 2023? No.
We will find out later on. It is 2022.
2022.
We don't know that yet. What he does say here is this. You're right. He did call them. He said he's captain in the United Earth Fleet. There is no Federation. There's no Starfleet. And they get there, and all of a sudden the device doesn't work. Like it turns off, basically.
And he does say that maybe it's out of juice, or maybe it wasn't, or maybe it's not working.
Yeah. Well, they're in Toronto, Canada, which ironically is where they were filming all of season 2.
It's funny because there's a moment where he thinks it's New York.
Right. Even though it says Toronto on all the buildings, but that's cool.
That's cool.
They do really have some issue with because later on in the episode, he has all these memories of things that happened in his timeline in his past, but yet he can't recognize the difference between Toronto and New York. Anyways, beyond that. So
to be fair, he's never been to Earth.
Right. But later on, he'll do and say things that make him seem like he knows a lot about this time. So the fact that he doesn't know the difference between New York and Toronto, it's like, make up your mind. Either he does know stuff or he doesn't know anything. Like, you can't have it both ways depending on what joke you want to write. Right. And that's one of the problems of the show is make up your mind. I mean, it says Toronto everywhere. Right. By the way, I tried to go through here and look up stuff. This thing over here, the blood train, if you look to the right, you can see a little more when it first comes into shot. That's made up, totally made up movie, not real. Over here on the right. So if you look at the scene, train. So I tried to, because I was trying to time it out in the beginning. I was trying to find out exactly when this happened because Kirk says we're in the mid 21st century. Okay, what is mid 21st century? That's 2050, right? That's the mid 21st century,
right?
So so I'm like, okay, so let's think about that. That would be post World War III in Star Trek. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Later on, we will find out. The precise year is 2022, but before we get to that, let's keep rolling here. So real quick, the time on the bridge with Kirk on the Enterprise, that is an alternate timeline. This right now is the current Strange New Worlds timeline that we're in. That they're in right now is the current Strange New Worlds timeline. Discovery, Strange New Worlds. Right. This is their timeline right now. Nothing has changed.
Nothing's changed. This time, but we're gonna get into that because this is also an alternate timeline. But we'll get into that. Okay, so I did notice
Thank you, Joe, for the donation.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it, brother. I did notice that there is a Dollar Tree over here. Looks like they made up the whole scene to have fictional things, but they left out the Dollar Tree sign.
Well, the store they enter here in a minute is an actual store as well. That's how I found it.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Clothing store.
All right, and there's the biggest city in what used to be called Canada. You hear that, all my Canadian friends? There won't be a Canada in the future.
Sorry,
guys. What used to be called. There's a San Francisco, so we know there's still a San Francisco.
But you guys can all come down here, though. If Canada goes away, you can come down here. Listen, we're all about, keeping all of our friends here.
This is when he mentions that he's never been to Earth. He was raised on a spaceship.
Oh, the USS Iowa. Anybody?
Oh, right. So that was interesting because Kirk is from Iowa, right?
From Iowa. So, I mean, it's like, all right. Listen, there's a point where it's like, okay, you want to be clever, like on little things. Like, do you have to mention the name of the ship he was born? Of course, he was born in Iowa. I don't know if it's like trying to give people some Easter eggs or if it's just, too cute. Not sure. It doesn't matter, really.
Whatever, I'll take it. And I might even upvote that because at the very least.
I'm not going to upvote it.
Yeah, I'm gonna upvote it.
It's cutesy. I mean,
there's a lot of downvotes coming, so I'm trying to.
Let me ask you a question. What are the idea that he would be born on the USS Iowa?
Actually, you're right. Actually, you're right. I got it down.
It's just so like.
Sorry, you're right. That's like an obvious memory that wasn't even hard to write.
I mean, it's just dumb. It's like, it's almost silly, like to put him like being born on it, to say it. You know, listen, he was born in Iowa in our timeline. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, here's the deal. If you want to do member berries, you got to do it right. Okay, nostalgia debate requires a little bit of prestige, right? So instead of saying the USS Iowa, what you would do is find out whatever the capital of Iowa is and make it that, like the USS Des Moines.
Yeah.
And you see, and most people wouldn't get it right away, but we would be like, oh, that's because Kirk was born, blah, blah, blah. That's how you do nostalgia bait. You don't knock it right on its head.
And nostalgia bait should always forward the story. So there's not much point in him naming the ship he was born on. So like it's just honestly could have been left off altogether. There's no point for that nostalgia. There's no point for that. That's a pointless member berry.
Well, Christopher Mays says for $10. Thank you, Christopher Mays. Kirk was not raised on a spaceship. What the F?
Right. And so luckily that is an alternate timeline. So they get away with that, sort of.
Right.
But it does get worse, Christopher. Thank you so much for that.
Now, they got to get their clothes off and get into some modern clothes. Kirk is very cold because he's used to warmer temperature. And they're dressed in spaceman outfits. So they go into a, what store was this? You remember?
Oh, yeah. So I don't remember the name of the store. It was like Woodley or something like that.
Yeah. It's like Canada's version of REI, I think.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah. So look at this. Is hilarious. If you can, now you look at this. Now, La'an, stop. La'an just went through. Okay? She just went through.
Mm-hmm.
He watched her go through. Go ahead and continue. Oh, I don't know how to get out of the door. Dude, come on. I mean, look. This is downvote. And only because it's stupid. Like, it's pointless. Why? Okay, they have the whole thing. I've been in a spaceship my whole life. What do you want? I mean, he just saw her walk through and Lee exit. Like, is he so stupid that he couldn't follow her?
Right.
Like, it's so dumb.
Right.
You know, and it's like, I get it. It's, you know, the point is they want to joke. It's diminishing our characters. It's like they do with Spock. They make him a joke. The Kirk, they make him a joke. I mean, they do give him some moments where he's cool. That's true. I will give.
They do, yeah.
But it's just, these are pointless moments. You know.
Yeah. I'm not gonna downvote this, but I did find it sort of silly.
I had to. I just like when you're completely out of context. It's so weird.
And I love in Kirk fashion, he just forces it back up. He's like, yeah, Kirk.
Well, I almost think it's more idiotic that he did that. Like,
okay.
He couldn't figure out that it just keeps going around, buddy. Like, you just go back around. It almost makes him more stupid that he forces it open. I'm sorry. This is all bad all the way around.
So they do ask him, she asks him, you've never seen a revolving door before, and he's like, I'm from space.
Oh, I'm from space. Okay.
I mean, it makes sense.
He knows all about this timeline. You'll learn in the future. He knows all about stuff that happened.
He is from space. That's, you know.
He doesn't know how a door rotates. Okay. What happens if he was inside the spaceship and something rotated? Would he just be like, oh my God, I don't know what's going on?
I don't know what's going on. What do I do here? All right. So these sexy people put on sexy clothes. But they got to pay. But they don't have any money to pay. What are they going to do, Shane?
Well, first off, La'an's going to check out his hot, sexy bod.
Well, yeah, of course, because...
a little lusty moment for La'an, which is a little out of character for her, which I kind of like, to be honest with you. I don't like a lot of sexualization in Star Trek, but this was actually an okay moment. And who wouldn't, you know, she can't help herself. It's Kirk.
Yeah,
why?
I just think it's weird that she growled. That was weird to me. Yeah, Arch raises a good point. Scotty didn't know how to use a mouse and a keyboard when he went back to the past.
Yeah, but that's something he probably would have never used. But we're talking about, okay, listen, we're
computer.
talking about walking through. No, there's a difference. between using technology and walking through a fucking door. Okay, I'm sorry. There's a difference. I mean, if I never saw this thing, I might be like,
computer.
I mean, that was okay. Yeah. This walking through a door is idiotic. You know, if there's a moment here where if they could have done some funny stuff with him driving around, like that would have been cool. Like he's out of his element. Of course, they didn't take advantage of it, but that would have been funny because he obviously doesn't know how to drive a car. But walking through a door, I mean, come on, you know.
Sure.
Especially watching the person in front of him walk through the door. Now, if Scotty had seen somebody else use the fucking computer before he used it, don't you think he would have not talked to the mouse? I mean, come on.
Well, when the guy points at the mouse, he goes, "Oh, that's right, computer."
Well, look, there's a war going on up here. Christopher Mays is like, "Stop trying to take me out. You will never succeed." Because he's got the stream here on lockdown. You guys won't be able to do it. Listen. Together, I think you guys can take him, but we'll see what happens.
It's going to require the combined efforts
of the whole Avengers crew.
So they change because they don't want to match for whatever reason. They don't have any money, so they have to make a run for it.
Well, that's what he says. But let me tell you, this actually, I give him an upvote here. Okay, if you go back one step until they're in the store. Mm-hmm. Okay, just when La'an's doing this terrible thing, go back one more. Okay, see that girl right there? So La'an basically takes a wallet, I think, off of a thing and shoves it in this lady's bag. This poor Karen has no idea that she's about to be accosted, that she's a shoplifter, right? Which is totally jacked up that she did it to her. But I got to give them credit. They didn't put a guy. I assumed that they would have had a guy that she would have put the wallet on before walking out. It's like the first time I've seen them do anything bad to a girl on this show. So kudos to them for it.
I think it would have been funny if the security guard started beating her up.
If this was Ace Ventura, they would have.
There was this episode of The Mick that I watched where they did something similar. Yeah. The Mick is this like sort of trash bag character. Mm-hmm. Anyways, she does this. She puts something in someone's purse or whatever and sort of frames them, but she's not totally aware of how zealous the security guards are as they proceed to like beat the ever living crap out of the guy.
This lady gets thrown in jail and it changes the timeline and La'an has no idea what she did. Right. She doesn't make it to whatever date she was. Some kid isn't born. The future is destroyed.
She looks a little bit like Jadzia Dax, the second one.
There you go. It's Jadzia's old and start now. Deep Space Nine doesn't happen as a result.
All right. So yeah, they got to go and they need money. And they said, "What kind? We need currency. What kind of marketable 21st century skills do you have?" I purposely didn't bring it up. How do you feel about the fact that Kirk is an expert chess player?
I mean, yes, that makes sense. Actually, like it makes sense that he would be an excellent chess player. My only problem is like, look, okay, they got to come up with some idea to make it. They want to tie it into like member berries somehow and something that Kirk's talented at. How many people are sitting around on the streets like gambling over chess? I mean, maybe this is something I'm not familiar with, and maybe that people play chess on the street for money all the time. Mm-hmm. But it's not. They kind of played it out as being like a card shark, where he's like doing like 3-card Monte on the street or something.
Yeah, he's rounding.
Yeah, it's so that was like a little weird. The thing I did not like is the music is terrible. I hate this. Like, it's like, okay, we're in 2022. We're going to play some like current music, or something. And it's just like, listen, you should always use timeless music when you make a futuristic show. And even if you go into the past, you should still use timeless music because 20 years from now, if anybody's watching this show, the music's going to date it. What was I watching recently where the music just totally dated something that I really, really... Oh, Planet of the Apes. I was watching Planet of the Apes, and it was a futuristic show, but they were playing like 1970s, like, bow chicka bow bow music.
Right.
And it really does not age well. The story's great, but it doesn't. And so I think here you do things like this, it just doesn't really...
Are you telling me that in 20 years, when you're watching Jumanji: The Next Level and Nicki Minaj comes on singing WAP, you're not going to be taken out of the movie?
No, I'm talking about a futuristic show. So I'm talking about like a show about the future. When you age it, it does weird things.
So you got to use so what if they don't want to use classical music? They would have to use like something that's we've all just determined is classic.
Yeah, like that's timeless.
Beatles, Frank Sinatra, something like that.
Whatever, something timeless that will always be. And sometimes when they use these kind of weird montage, like Rocky montage songs, it's just kind of weird. I mean,
like something timeless, like Kid Rock, ball to bang, boogie woogie.
Or look, they've proven that they can do a Beastie Boys timeless.
That's true. That's true. Hey, Beastie Boys is timeless.
Yeah. So they have this whole thing where he basically just like takes down everybody, like, and everybody's like in awe of his chess playing skills, which I don't know if people would actually do that, but very cool. They do the whole 4D chess reference here, where basically he says, I've been playing with my first officer and she can't beat me. I'm still yet to look for someone who can give me a game, which of course he's talking about Spock in an alternate timeline, because Spock of course could play good chess against him. Which, I mean, you're going to have these weird references. Like, it's just kind of the way it's going to be. They're going to constantly be like referring to
an 4D chess or 3D chess?
Yeah. So three-dimensional chess is what it's called. I don't know why I say 4D. Chess. You know why? Because we say 4D chess when we're doing things. That's why.
Right. I remember that now. Okay. So, yeah, he whips all these players. He's awesome. He gets a bunch of money. Good for him.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool. They let Kirk save the day, which is good. I mean, they could definitely go down the path of La'an does everything, saves everything, and they didn't do that. So, right. I mean, you got to give them credit where credit's due. They're letting Kirk do things, and they're Kirk things. It's something his character would be good at chess. Yeah. Likely. So, I mean, I think it makes sense. I'll give it enough vote.
I'll give it enough vote too. That was good.
Yeah.
And he also says he wants to get hot dogs. And go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I found it interesting. She denies the hot dog or whatever.
Why? Yeah. So why did she do that? So, like, I don't get it. So La'an refuses to eat the hot dog for no other reason than so Kirk could say he was her commanding officer and she could say he's not in charge. That's the reason she didn't eat the hot dog. Think about it, guys. They've been here for how long? Hours? She hasn't eaten anything. Who knows when she last ate before time changed several times. Like, why wouldn't she eat the damn hot dog? The only reason they have her not eat the hot dog is so that they can have this back and forth about who's in charge. That's the whole reason. And I hate writing for that purpose.
I don't think that's the case, though. Because
then why do they do it?
I like what he said when he said, like, when you're in the situation that I've been in and we're in now, you eat a hot dog when you have a chance to eat a hot dog.
No, I get that, but that's not why. That's okay. That was not the conversation they wanted to have. Like, that's how he eventually gets her to eat the hot dog. Mm-hmm. Right. And it's supposed to be this kind of back and forth here. But I would say, like, instead of her saying no, like, we don't know why she doesn't want to eat the hot dog. We don't know. Like just, she could say, I'm not hungry. She could say, I know how those things are made. Trust me. I've looked at it, and that would have been kind of funny. Right. But they have to have, they create situations so that they can talk about their future writing. They're writing things to forward what they want to put down instead of letting it make sense when they create a scene, right?
Right.
So there's no reason for her to say, I mean, obviously she's going to eat. We need a reason for her not to want the hot dog. We never find out why she doesn't want to eat it, right?
No. Although I am now getting really hungry because you said hot dog like 400 times.
I had one yesterday and I feel guilty about it, but it was really good.
You should feel guilty. I'm getting starving right now. I haven't had a decent meal in a week. I'm on this. I'm on the weight loss training. I went back and watched our old videos.
Yeah.
That someone sent me a link to, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so skinny. What the F? And you compare our old videos to my videos now. I'm like, I said, I'm back. I got to lose weight.
Right. Yeah. So just back to the thing. It's not a big deal that La'an didn't want a hot dog, but it's just like they made her not want a hot dog so that they could have the conversation
about the hot dog. You keep saying hot dog. What's your problem?
Okay. Sorry. We get where you're at, and I'm sorry that you're there. Eat some damn food, okay? Before we do a stream. And then, so it's just kind of a weird thing. It's not downvotable or anything like that. But then what I do like, and I'm going to give this a thumbs up, is that Kirk, after giving her the hot dog, takes a bite of his and says, I'm going to go get another one. Right. To me, that was a Kirk thing. Like, I don't know. It just felt kind of Kirkish to me. So there's enough.
Felt like a hot dog. I felt like a hot dog. God damn it. It felt like a Kirk thing. They did mention that, Earth is like real messed up in his time. There's like clouds of ash that won't clear for thousands of years. So he's seeing a lot of this for the first time.
Yeah.
It's cool. Sci-fi.
Yeah, it's good.
And you don't skip good hot dogs when you can get them.
I mean, they wanted this to be a touching moment, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Eat the damn hot dog, La'an.
So they
being
get
so difficult.
Right. They get a hotel room and they're sleeping. I thought there was going to be some Kirk La'an action here. I thought that was very interesting.
Well, it's still. I'm glad that there was no Kirk La'an action. It needed not to be, and I'll tell you why. Because if they're going to have Kirk La'an action later, it's going to make things weird. Like she had relations with an old version of Kirk.
Right. I just found it weird that she got out of bed and just sort of leered at him in the hallway.
Yeah. Well, La'an does weird things. She was with the Gorn.
Just staring at his sleeping form. All right. And then he's like, I guess he sensed it. And there was a moment here where I think they were trying to make it look like they might connect, but they didn't. All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Now this is interesting. They're trying to figure out what changed, where the fork in the road lies as to why they're there.
You know what? Now that I think about it, that whole scene where she wakes up and goes out and looks at him is fucking pointless.
It's completely pointless.
It's pointless.
No, yeah.
Why?
That whole scene was complete. You could have cut that out and nothing would be different.
Later on in the show, they do better while something happens of showing how their relationship is coming together. They don't really need her pining over him. She already gave him the look. The chest thing happened. Right. You can see she's opening up. That was wasted time.
Right. I agree. So they're trying to figure out what the fork in the timeline is. Why they're there, what changed. As they're having this conversation, the bridge blows up.
And this is why they're there, they believe.
Right. And remember, the guy said, get to the bridge. He wasn't referring to the bridge of the starship. He was referring to the bridge.
No, he wasn't. He said, take this to the bridge.
No, he said, get to the bridge.
I think he said, take this to the bridge.
He said, get to the bridge. That's what he said.
Did you go back and check?
That's what he said in the subtitles. Get to the bridge.
Well, if he did, that was stupid too, because this bridge is absolutely pointless to the whole thing going forward. So whatever he meant it to be, this is just another pointless thing that's occurring. So.
Sure. Okay.
It is. Shit's about to come off the rails, people. Like from this point on, like shit's coming off the rails. Get ready.
Yeah. The bridge is blown up, blah, blah, blah.
So something about this bridge that we should mention. They talk about this bridge as being the longest bridge in the world, and that in their history, that now suddenly Kirk remembers and La'an remembers, in both their history, someone blew it up right after it was made. So this is apparently that bridge. Now that bridge does not exist in reality. I looked it up. Toronto doesn't have the longest bridge in the world. It does have a little bridge that goes over the bay, but it's not this. So this is obviously not in our timeline. So, which is interesting.
Someone said it would have been funny if an ancestor of Pike was cooking the hot dogs.
Oh, hell yeah. That would have been great. Yeah, my name's Jonathan Pike.
Yeah. What if it, the name tag said, Jonathan Pike, right? Didn't that be the same person? I'm just saying, his name tag, and we had, really tall hair. That would have been great.
Archmage is saying the bridge is not pointless, but Archmage, I am going to tell you why the bridge is pointless here. I know everybody thinks it's important, but you're going to find out here pretty quickly. This is all smoke and mirrors, and things are about to get interesting.
Razzle dazzle. Yeah. So in both their timelines, the bridge blew up. Mm-hmm. So both the timeline that she lives in, and then her alternate timeline where she meets Kirk in the future, where he wasn't born in Iowa, blah blah blah.
So we know this is not the event that changes time.
No, it's not one of the events that changed. The other time,
their time,
right.
We're not there yet.
The Strange New Worlds timeline, right?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I thought that was weird too. Like they both remembered it. I actually thought that was confusing to me.
They had to say that to show us that it wasn't the thing that changed time.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So they go there to look at what's going on. It was apparently we don't know yet, but they're gonna find out that it was a photon bomb or something.
Yeah, so it happens here pretty quickly. So they run into this young lady who's taking pictures of the bridge. We're going to talk about her a lot later. Mm-hmm. They come up and ask her what you're taking pictures of, and then for whatever reason, she just decides to show them. So cool. Not sure why she would do that. But we find out later that it really makes no sense what she's doing here.
Well, Canadians are very nice, bro.
Yep, she's not Canadian, brother. So, but okay. So she shows her the pictures that she's taking these of the bridge. And of course, La'an figures out that it's a photonic bomb. Now, not only is it weird that they run into that girl, who they will run into again soon for no reason, but a photonic bomb apparently is 100 years from now. So photonic bombs won't be invented for another 100 years, according to La'an, right?
Right.
It's what was used to destroy the bridge.
Right.
Now, the guy, somebody, now they're going to take all the evidence and they're going to put it in a truck, and the truck's going to drive away. And now these guys are going to follow him.
Okay? Right. And so they need to co-opt the vehicle. And of course, Kirk gets in the driver's seat.
Which, okay, I'm down. And listen, I'm willing to give a lot of leeway.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that Kirk has never been to Earth, he's never driven a car, I doubt he knows much about it. He immediately knows where the key goes, which most people, even when you first drive a car, where the hell does the key go? Even a car you don't know well, you're like, where's the key? It's not, I don't think it's necessarily obvious.
It stumps me, the new cars with the push button. I'm like, how do I do this? How does this work? The push button always gets me. It drives me nuts.
The push button's tough. It is. You have to get some used to it. But this is a traditional key. You saw it in his hand. So he's able to figure that out. He's driving, and everything's okay here. He's driving around. Okay, who wouldn't figure out the gas, the brake? It might be a little. It's not like he's driving a stick shift, guys. Right? So, okay. Anybody could do that.
Yeah, if it was a stick, it'd be hilarious. Yeah, so he figures it out pretty quick.
There's some interesting things that... so one of the things that we missed back there was he did the Vulcan neck pinch on the person he took the car from.
Oh, yes, that's right, he did.
Yeah, so... and they, of course, they said he learned it from a Vulcan he was in a jail cell with. So there's a time when, it forwards the story. And it's good. But this is one of those memberberry things that it does not forward the story. It's kind of pointless. He obviously learned how to do the Vulcan neck pinch from Spock sometime in the future, I'm guessing. Although it was only something Spock could do. So I don't know, whatever. So he knows how to do it. But did he need to do that? Did he need to do the Vulcan neck pinch to disable the person? Or do you just throw that in there for Star Trek memberberries?
Maybe they don't want to show the hero, of the story, pummeling the man into unconsciousness.
That's not that's not why they did it.
I know that's not why.
So that they could do the Vulcan, so they could mention the Vulcan neck pinch. That's why they did it. I'm just asking you if did it forward the story?
Not really.
Not really. It was just for fun.
Well, they should have just shown the guy walking away and they just got in the car.
Or how about you just steal a car that's parked there? Right. You don't have to disable the person. Now, what's interesting is La'an, during this little scene here, we learned that she's been through his personal file. So I want to know, why is she into his personal file? He's not on aboard a ship with her. She doesn't serve with him, but she knows all kinds of shit about him, right? She knows his middle name. She's stalker much.
She's stalking him.
She's a stalker.
She's like, oh yeah, I've been to your personal file.
I was so shocked. I was like, I wanted to say, why have you been through his personal file? But okay, maybe that's just a normal. Maybe it's like Facebook in the future where you can just go and check out.
No, she clearly is into him and she's been stalking him. I think it's sort of funny that Kirk is such a ladies' man, even in this series, that people that he hasn't even met yet are checking him out on his personal file.
Right. Now I will give an upvote here because I love the La'an Nunian Singh line, and this is actually a good job by the writers. We all have been confused with Singh and Singh in the Star Trek franchise, and so I thought it was totally appropriate that Kirk, who doesn't know who Nunian Singh is, or Singh for that matter, of course Data's creator, and he confuses the two, which we've done a million times, and I thought that was kind of actually pretty clever to throw that in there. So
yes, and he doesn't know who she is, which was also very nice.
She doesn't exist in his timeline,
right?
So, and that gives you a sign as to what's coming. So I didn't get my upvote for that.
Oh, my bad. I got you.
So here's when things start to get weird again. So they get pulled over. He did a whole like crazy 360, which, by the way, I'm sorry, I got to downvote that. He drove that car better than, so now bring down downvote. He literally does a reverse. He throws the car into reverse. He gasses it, hits the brake, and then does a 180 in the car perfectly.
Yeah.
A little bit weird. Okay.
Yeah, that's called a turnout. I actually learned how to do that in the military, and it was very, very hard.
Yeah, it's not something
it took me days of attempting to learn that maneuver, and it's not something. Maybe we get lucky. Maybe we get lucky on the first time. I don't know.
Maybe.
But the fact that he pulled the brake and everything, it seemed like he knew what he was doing.
Yeah. They could have, but see, they could have had fun with the whole like him not knowing how to drive a car. You know, it actually could have been funny utilizing that element. If they want to have humor in the show, which obviously they do, then that would have been the time to do it. Now, here's what's weird. The girl that was taking pictures back at the bridge is now suddenly here.
Yeah.
And she's basically telling these cops that you're profiling. So here they are using another, current day euphemism. That is something that's happening in the world.
The journalist.
Or, blogger, I think she was.
A blogger.
And she basically says, are you profiling them because they're Americans? That's kind of funny. I was like, okay, well, that's different. At least, I don't know. It was like weird to me, but weird, oddly appropriate. So
are you profiling him because he is a white man?
Well,
how dare
funny,
you?
Right? Did you know he's a famous civil rights attorney? Which is what she says.
All right.
So that was kind of weird. So she was there. I'm like, okay, well, that's all right. So she happens to be in the same place. Well, they come to find out that she's following them because they are following the evidence from the bridge, and she's this investigative person, right? This is what's happening here.
She's live tweeting her investigation.
Yeah. So strange. For what we come to find out later, this is really weird. Yeah. So she's watching because she's a blogger. She says that she says that everyone wants to keep fighting each other here on planet Earth, except they're not paying attention to the real threat. The real threat is aliens. This is what she tells them. What the fuck's going on here? Like, listen, guys, why would she say this to these people? When we find out who she really is, I want you to ask yourself, this is a downvote. Ask yourself, why is she having this conversation with them? She doesn't know who they are. They're, as far as she's concerned, they're just weird people, right? Or people, obviously there's some. Why would she tell them these things? It's very strange. It does not make any sense whatsoever.
Well, so at first it came off as sort of funny that like the bloggers, like the real problem is the aliens.
Well, no, it's perfect. This is perfect if you want to run into a conspiracy. The problem is, this is the problem with Star Trek, new Star Trek. When you're writing something, you write yourself into a corner. They did all this stuff with this character. They made it interesting, conspiracy-like. Okay, boom, 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 boom. We're following it. It's cool. But later on, they're going to screw up all their previous writing with stuff that doesn't make any sense so that they could get you to the point they wanted you to get to. It doesn't connect the dots. There's no reasonable. Listen, you got to have, like, I know we live in a world where being reasonable isn't what we do, like for most of the people. But when you're writing a story, it has to make sense. There's no reason for this girl to do what she does. So she's done with him. Look what happens in a second, right? They do this weird eyeball thing with her, right? Okay, he forwards it forward a little bit here. She tells this stupid story because we know what's going to happen, where she's at. Why is she telling him this? Okay, keep going. All right.
That's it.
No. Something else happens here. Yeah, okay, this is where okay, it already happened. You missed it. If you go back just a little touch, there's a moment where she's about to walk away. This is very important. Okay? Go back and again. You can't do the 10-second thing, right?
I mean, this is 10 seconds.
Go back one more. Okay, I got to go. She says, I got to go. Now play it. Pause.
Right.
She gives him a little eye roll, and she walks away. Then all of a sudden, Kirk says, my wife was abducted. Because they think, oh, this girl might be able to give us information so we can figure out what we want to do. Mm-hmm. This girl is done with them. I don't know why she came in and she was following him.
Right.
Right? Now she got him off on the cops. Now she's leaving.
Right.
She's done.
Right. She's done.
Okay. But now because Kirk says, oh, my wife was an alien thing, now she's interested because she's a conspiracy theorist person. They're trying to get her to stay. Now we know her story in the future. None of this makes sense. None of it does. Okay. None of what she does here makes any sense whatsoever. Keep going. Okay. So go ahead and go forward. So they make up this story about, oh, she saw technology and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, great. Well, we can hang out together. Okay, cool. Right. And now they go into this place. This is very interesting. She sits down. She shows them a series of pictures, right? And what we get to see here, if you go, I don't know if you can do this or not. Yeah, let's play it and we'll pause it on each one. Go back 10 seconds. And as she shows the pictures, I want you to stop on each one.
All right. Well, I think we're already there, so let me just pop here. I don't want to.
Yeah, if you just play it.
I don't want to add 3 hours to my work later on because I have one little 10 seconds of copyright claim. 1 second.
No, it's not 10 seconds. It's like 3 seconds.
No, but but the 3 seconds will add 10 hours to my. Here we go.
Pause it.
Yeah.
Okay. First thing we get to see here is a moon base. Okay, so this is the moon, and that's apparently like pictures, images of a base on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. Yeah, so we got the 2 towers coming down, right? And if you look down here on the right, there's like someone standing there, and I think that's supposed to be like an alien who actually brought the 2 towers down instead of the planes, I guess, crashing into them.
Okay. All right.
Right. And then I guess this is crop circles.
Looks like crop circles, yeah.
Couldn't quite figure out what it was. Okay. This is a weird one. That looks like the win at in Las Vegas.
It does look like the win in Las Vegas.
And there's barbed wire in front of it. Yeah. I have no idea what this photo is supposed to be.
That's the Trump Towers in Las Vegas, actually. Or maybe it's the hotel that
there we go.
Bruce Willis broke out of in Die Hard. I don't know.
There weren't 2, but there are 2. The Encore and is it the Encore? It's the
that's right.
The Aria.
Yes, I think that is Vegas. It's
right.
funny.
It looks like the Wynn, and he named it for his wife. I think the other one. So the one was Steve Wynn. Now here we go. Okay,
here's an actual shot. So all those other shots had no impact whatsoever, and now here's a spaceship. Okay.
By the way, this is all any of us ever want. Like to prove there are aliens. This is all we need. Is one
all
clear
we
shot.
want is one clear shot. Out of all the shots that you give us, I am so tired of the shaky cam, the blurry light balls moving. Can we just get one clear, definitive shot of an alien or a spaceship or something actually supernatural? Just one. Out of all the people out there with supercomputers with phones in them in their pockets, just one clear shot.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Well, guess what this actually is, guys? This is a bird of prey. It's a Romulan bird of prey. It looks exactly like it. I wish I had a shot to show you from the original TOS episode. I don't know if Brian, it would be too hard to show them what the bird of prey. Just try to find bird of prey TOS, and it should come up with a picture of the bird of prey from the original series. It was also in another episode. I want to say Enterprise showed a bird of prey because the ships changed quite a bit later on for the Romulans. But right. So this is kind of cool. Now it doesn't have. There you go. So it doesn't have the cool bird on the bottom of it, like they did in TOS. But the shape is essentially the same.
Yeah, it's the same exact shape. Look.
Yeah. So
it's literally the same exact thing, just without the bird.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, the bird was too much.
Right. Well, the bird. Yeah. Well, it was the 60s, and it was a bird of prey. They wanted people to know it was a bird of prey.
It's a bird of prey, damn it.
Yeah. So basically, she's showing them all of this evidence of alien stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the guy apparently who was like hanging out at the bridge, and is also the person who took the evidence in the van. She took pictures of him apparently.
Right. Okay.
Still,
so she's helping them find.
Still, there is no point for why this character took those pictures. Just note, okay, important. There's absolutely no point.
Yeah. Honestly, they probably should have just had that guy be the one that interacts with them at the end of the episode, and not her.
Right. So what even goes weirder is that she has this like emotional break right now where she's just grateful that they didn't call her weird or crazy. Like she's having this emotional moment of like, thank you guys for believing me. And it's all I ever want is for someone to believe me. I'm like, what's the point of that whole thing?
Maybe she's been there for like 50 years and everyone just keeps calling her a conspiracy nut.
That's not what it is. She's obviously locked in and focused, and she has been there for 30 years, as we'll learn.
Right.
Okay. But the point is like, what's the point of all this? She still doesn't know who they are. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the point? Right. So what we learn is that I'm just saying like all that is pointless to me. Like based on what we're about to learn, it's like a fun little journey to go on. We get to see cool pictures. We get to learn these things. What it tells Kirk is that's a Romulan vessel. Now he knows that. Well, that's a Romulan vessel, right? So we get that, and that's kind of the information I think that they wanted to give, right?
Well, they could have used her without making her the bad guy later on. It would have made more sense.
That would have made more sense. That guy could have been the bad guy. But that's the way they write stories nowadays. They want to shock you and surprise you. Now that's cool if you can do it without completely ruining the beginning of the story that you told. But by having her as the bad guy, I'm sorry if you're not there yet, but by having her as the bad guy, it messes up everything she did earlier in the show that was trying to build up some sort of different identity. What we learn here is apparently in his timeline, in Kirk's timeline for sure, the cold fusion reactor there in Toronto, apparently they have a cold fusion reactor, is destroyed by Romulans in their first strike against Earth. Okay? Now here's my question for you. Why didn't that happen in La'an's timeline? Why did it happen to his? Why didn't it happen in hers? That's something that we kind of sort of get an answer to, but it's a really lame answer later on. But that's something that they should be thinking about right now. Okay?
Yeah, so that's obviously the discrepancy, so that's what they need to stop or figure out how to deal with.
Right. Now we don't know why, but that's definitely something they need to figure out. Now here, also the thing is like they said they're going to try to stop the time traveler from destroying the reactor. Right? So wait, who destroyed the bridge? Was it Romulans in the current time frame, or was it a time traveler? Because Romulans in the current time traveler wouldn't have a photon bomb because that wouldn't be invented for 100 years.
Well, I mean, no, they could have brought one back with them. I mean, they brought a ship back, the Romulans.
No. That ship isn't from the future. That's a current Romulan vessel. So that's what's going on here. So here's what Kirk says. In his time, in the past, this was the first Romulan attack on Earth, this cold fusion bomb. Okay? So what he's saying, there are currently, yes, this is what I'm trying to tell you. There are currently Romulans at this time infiltrating Earth and trying to, and she says it herself, they've been trying for years to change the minds of people. They should have gone further. She says it. They should have gone further. Later on,
I think you're off. I think the Romulans time traveled back.
No, bud. No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
He just said, listen to what his words were. He just said, this was the first attack of Romulans on Earth when the cold fusion reactor was destroyed. He said, by Romulans as a first strike on Earth.
No, that doesn't make no sense.
That's what he said. Those were his exact, there, you can look at it right here. Those were his exact words. Romulan strike. So he says those words. That's why I'm trying to tell you. It's very confusing. Why did the Romulans attack Earth at that timeline before World War III happens? It didn't happen in La'an's timeline. Why is it happening in his?
Yeah, none of that happens in her timeline.
Right.
So obviously there's Romulans that have come back to ensure that this happens.
But it's not a time. He says in his time. Okay, so I see what you're saying. So maybe it's time travelers, right, that have come back in time, but they know it's Romulans.
Well, he knows now in his future.
No, he knows that Romulans are the ones who started the war.
Right, in his future they know that the Romulans started it. But I think that there must be. I mean, she has been there for 30 years trying to change time.
We're going to get to that. But she did say that she even says they should have gone further than blowing up. They should have gone further than blowing up bridges and clinics or labs. Speaking of people in the present time, that's who she's talking about. The Romulans that are there starting the war all that time ago.
Jeez, if I was La'an and I figured out that a Romulan from the future blew up the bridge, I wouldn't just be like, well, it happened to both our timelines, so let's move on. I'd be like, wait a minute.
Right. So
wait a minute.
So think about that. So if Romulans, it happened in her timeline. So this is something that's
and
serious.
she just blows it off like that's part of history.
Yeah,
no, Romulans shouldn't be here from the future blowing up stuff.
Right, or from present. Romulans don't even meet Earth until the episode in TOS. That's the first time we come in contact with Romulans.
I mean, I know we're gonna get to this, but I wonder if we actually get an explanation for like this time travel shenanigans, or if this is just like a one-off nonsense.
We're gonna get it. We get an explanation
because she should be very worried that there is a Romulan from the future with a photon bomb that blew up a bridge, and just saying, "Oh, it's part of both of our histories. Let's move on," is a silly thing to do.
Okay, all right. Well, so let's keep going forward. Okay, so we learned this. All right, we learned that. Okay, so we learned all this stuff. Now, of course, she figures out. Wait a second. There's someone I know that can help us in this time. So finally, we get the reason why we have Carol Kane on the show and Commander Pelia was so that they could do this episode. Like, that's the reason she's on the show, and that her backstory has her as being a Lanthanite that we've never heard of before. Now, she's in Vermont, fairly far away from Toronto. Okay, good distance away from Toronto, not super close. And so they got to go visit her. We learn from her that she claims to have known Pythagoras, the guy from the Pythagorean theorem, like when he was doing math at the time. So she's at the very least 570 BC. She was around.
Right.
So that puts her, she's nearing 3,000 years old, just if you want to put everything in order.
No wonder why she's so nuts.
In this time, she's not an engineer, though. She trades archaeological items that apparently she's been stealing throughout the years or keeping that are now just really old.
Right.
I thought it was interesting that he said they found her using an app called DuckDuckGo. I did look that up. It is an actual app.
It's also a search engine.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting because when I looked at the app, it was all about protecting your privacy, but apparently they hunted her down with that. So I guess they also.
Well, DuckDuckGo is actually famous for conspiracy theorists because it's one of that and Yandex are a couple of the few search engines that are said to not have censored results. So conspiracy theorists, Redditors, and 4chan users like DuckDuckGo and Yandex because they don't censor results. So
okay.
So they protect the person's privacy that's using it, not the people that they're actually searching for. There was we got a super chat here from Big Worm before we go on to this. Before we go on to her, he says, "My issue with this was that World War III was supposed to have started in 2026 and lasted until 2053. There should be a war going on at the time of this episode."
Well, almost. It's 2022.
Yeah.
So in 4 years, actually, the events of Picard, and now we're going to find out that they're not in the same timeline pretty quickly. Events of Picard season 2 take place in 2024, even closer to World War III.
Right. So hold on to that thought. When we get to the end of this, we're going to try to work out the time shenanigans.
I will argue. Yeah, thank you, Big One. Really appreciate it. But we'll explain to you why I think World War III is not going to happen in 2026 in this timeline. So.
Right. I'm almost positive it's not going to happen now. Right.
Right. Or at least it won't happen. It'll be in the future. Or it actually does happen, but much later.
But Picard season 1 and 2 wouldn't be affected by this, which means that they were just like really bad writing, like really garbage, trash tier writing.
Just really not a good job.
Right.
Okay. So
real quick, Christopher Mays, he's referring to the Romulan chick. She's cute though.
Okay, yeah, I got to give that up.
$10 Christmas Mays. She is pretty cute.
Like I wish they'd have shown us the ears. To be honest with you,
yeah, we don't get to see the ears at the end. Like she's wearing a beanie. It's really easy just to like lift up the beanie.
Bro, they're saving money. I'm telling you, man. We're gonna talk about why this is all a money saving thing. The fact that they messed up canon, changed canon. It's all a money saving thing, and including not showing us the ears, which they should have done. And notice, Laris was hot. This girl's hot. Both Romulans, all good.
Yeah, Romulan chicks are hot. So are Vulcan chicks.
although the first one from like the first season of Picard, she wasn't really hot.
No, yeah, the one with the weird like eyebrow ridges. I'm so glad they did away with that. That was not working for me.
Yeah, I wasn't taking that. Okay, so
all right, so she's 3,000 plus years old. She's
2,000 plus. Yeah, almost 3,000.
This is actually a downvote for me.
Okay.
They invented this character so they can use her in this episode, which makes me think maybe this episode's actually important, which makes me also think that we're going to see a return back to this in some way, or an explanation in some way to this episode, as important for the series before the end of the actual season 2, which takes place in 4 episodes. But...
No, well, for us.
4 episodes that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
But... I'm going to stick with, they could have done this with an Elorian.
No, they couldn't have. We talked about this. The reason they couldn't have, they would have had all the things that come with an Elorian they would have had to deal with on the ship. So you would have had to write all that stuff into as well. And Whoopi had all these strange characteristics. You could call a Q, listen, there's just too many weird things that an Elorian can do that would mess up the story.
The calling the Q.
Yeah, they had to create a new character. But here's the thing. I don't think this episode is important.
I like the actress. I even like the character, but I feel like it's cheap to have invented this character for this sole purpose.
Yeah, no, Carol Kane's awesome.
Right.
Love Carol Kane. But I think Ryan's arguing the point, of the character. And she was brought in as a plot device for this episode. 100%. That's why she's here. And I don't think this episode is important to the whole series. I don't think they'll come back to it. There's only 10 episodes per season, and they don't seem to want to explain things to us, i.e. the eye thing and the weird green stuff that M'Benga is taking that I've never heard of, the super soldier serum or whatever.
That's what
I don't think they revisit these things. I mean,
Oh my God. And you know what? They didn't even need her this episode.
Well, she was the reason they kind of did. I mean, they got the watch from her.
They got the watch from her, but who figured out the idea of the watch's radiation?
Well, that's the idea. So she did understand something. She goes, I have this 1980s diving watch that might help you. But it was La'an that figured out I think it was tritanium or Triton.
Which, by the way, is actually science. Like those things.
Yeah, that was cool. I was like, so upvote that for me. I actually like that.
I'll upvote that too. I like any use of science will get an upvote for me. Like real science.
Yeah.
But she figured it out.
Tritium.
But she's the one who figured that out. It wasn't like Carol was like, here, use this. This will help you.
Well, she did. She came up with the idea for the watch I can't remember what it was said, but it was La'an. No, they said they were looking for tritium. That's what it was. And apparently she knows what that is. So she said, well, I have it in this old watch. And it was La'an that said, well, the hands will glow as it gets close to it, kind of thing. So she did explain it. But it was Pelia who came up with the idea for the watch.
Okay. All right. I guess that's fair.
Yeah, she's drinking a beer. That's cool.
All right. So they go back to Toronto. Yeah. Again, also no travel time in this show for some reason.
Well, they did say in the last thing that they took like 2 buses, 3 taxis or whatever. I mean, they did at least explain.
That's true.
Yeah,
I guess you're right. They explained it, but it was just everything in Strange New World is just sort of instantaneous, I feel like. And I know that feels like a nitpick, but everything just feels so quick. Like there's like distance and time just doesn't really factor into telling the story. It reminds me of those old, when I was younger, I used to write stories where I would just sort of skip over all the actual, what and when, and just go straight to the who and why,
Yeah, that's kind of like your popcorn show on Sundays. That's kind of, you skip to the good stuff.
Right. So he wants to carry it because it's a man's watch, and she wants to carry it instead.
It's kind of funny. Yeah, she's like, you just want to be in charge. Yeah, they have this whole thing, they banter over who's in charge. I know it's supposed to be like this silly banter or whatever. They seem to be getting along really well. She's obviously, and all of a sudden she just starts opening up to him. You can see that La'an obviously has feelings for him. She admits to being lonely. Remember, she hasn't able to tell anyone on her ship this.
Right.
Friends that she is close to.
Right.
Like people she cares about. She has not been able to tell them these things. and yet she's here, spilling her guts to this guy.
Right.
Maybe partially because she knows, like, I think this is actually an upvote for me.
Okay.
Even though we delve into like the weird emotional aspects of stuff, I think this is really important for her character, because in the back of her mind, she realizes that this Kirk is temporary. He's in a timeline that they're not trying to save. And we didn't really talk about it earlier, but Kirk has decided to go with her on this. He knows he's going to be deleted if they're successful. Like, his timeline won't exist. He knows he exists in her timeline. And the thing that actually convinces him to do it is the fact that his brother Sam is still alive in her timeline and he's not alive in his.
Yeah, I did like that, by the way.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice way of like him figuring out, of him coming to terms. And that's a very Kirk thing that he would do.
Yeah, what pushed him to help, even though it would be effectively deleting him, was that his brother was still alive. And I think that's a Kirk thing.
I think Kirk would do that. And
in
so
fact, I didn't give that an upvote. I'm giving an upvote now.
Okay. It's definitely worthy of it. But here she opens up. She says this thing where, she's about to say something about him. He says that I'm special, or something. That was a good Kirk line. So that was all good. She begins to admit her feelings about Nunian Singh, about her ancestor. And she feels like she can let it go a little bit because Kirk has never heard of Khan. It's making her feel good to talk to somebody who doesn't know her past and is judging her for her past. Like, she's carrying that every time she meets somebody. Mm-hmm. Like, what are they going to think when she finds out my past? And she's just able to let that go because of all these reasons. And it results in her basically falling in love, and they have this kiss.
Okay.
Now, there is something that happened there I didn't get. Maybe you can help me understand, or maybe somebody in the chat can. He says, and when they finish kissing, he says, "You broke your promise." What promise was that? I missed it earlier in the show, and she never says anything. She just moves on. What was the promise that she made? Did she say, like, I wouldn't kiss you or something? I don't recall anything like that. So if anybody remembers why he said you broke your promise, I would really like to know that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either. All right, so the watch starts to glow, and of course it's right outside this conveniently placed building. And they walk inside. There's no security. There's no gate. The door isn't even locked, just so you guys know. The door...
Well, it is locked. Well, inside.
Right, but the door outside is not locked. Now remember, this is a cold fusion reactor. Very secure place. And they just sort of walk in. Can I tell you something? I actually did recognize something. Where they're filming. I don't know if you can see my cursor or not. But that is a very famous building where there's a modern building built on the outside of an old building. Do you see that?
Really? Well, that's interesting.
They use that in a... there's a show called... there's a medical drama. I think it's called... damn it. I forgot what it's called. Where's that one place where you can like just smoke weed? What country is that?
Oh, in Amsterdam?
Amsterdam. So there's a medical show called New Amsterdam where the hospital is this really old building where the outside of it has sort of been built out. That's the building they're in right now.
Oh, they probably shoot in Toronto then.
So they're shooting in that building.
Okay, that's interesting.
I should have had that building up and ready to show you guys. I apologize. But that's the building. Now, they're in that building, and remember, it is the home to a cold fusion reactor, and the door was unlocked. There's no security.
Well, maybe, now this is the advocate, what if it's a hidden cold fusion reactor, and this hand thing is the only thing that gets you back there?
Don't you think that there should be a lock on the door in the front, maybe a security guard?
Well, you'll notice here in a second that it's named something interesting. So it's actually called, I don't know if you can find the sign. When they get there and they look in it, they say the name of the place is the Nunian Singh Institute for Cultural Advancement. That's the name of the place they're at.
Interesting.
The Nunian Singh Institute for Cultural Advancement. Okay, By the way, just that's nothing in canon. There's no Nunian Singh, was a despot who took power. So Institute for Cultural Advancement, that indicates that something weird, different is definitely going on. And they're inside this building, right?
Right.
Not sure why it would be, as we're about to learn, why would the building be named Nunian Singh? It really this really indicates like a big difference in Khan's ancestry that we know nothing about. Like his ancestors. Why would a building be named in his name when in this movie, or in this video or this episode, you wouldn't have named it for Khan? That's all I'm going to say till we get to that point.
Yeah, and I just looked it up. They're actually in New York City.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in New York City. That's the building. So that's a famous filming location. They did use it for New Amsterdam. So they're actually shooting that in that building for some reason. I don't know.
That is the same building, you sure?
That's the same building, yeah.
Okay.
It's an odd choice. Maybe
I don't know.
Maybe they want to look futuristic or something.
It's not futuristic though. It's in the current timeline, so I don't know.
I mean, I guess it sort of looks futuristic in the sense where it's like a modern building wrapped around I don't know.
I just don't know what the point would be. I mean, yeah, I guess this shot right here looks clinical, I guess is the best way.
Yeah, which that is sort of a basis of a hospital, which it makes sense.
Right. Yeah, so they see somebody get in and they are like, okay, well, he says, well, let's just next person that comes, we'll just force them to use their hand to get in. And then when she sees the sign, she's like, oh, wait a second. And then she just goes over and puts her hand on it and the door opens. Right. She says there's a marker in her DNA. So I guess anybody who's a Nunian Singh can open the door.
So her ancestors so maybe the kid isn't like a clone. Maybe it's like the child of.
It's not. It's Khan. Period. Don't worry, we're going to get there.
I know the kid is Khan, but what if the scientists that build him also use some of their DNA? And this is so stupid. The more you think about this, the stupider it is. Like what you're saying is that the Khans are like the people in charge of the facility are also Khans.
Well, they're Nunian Singhs. They're not Khans.
I'm sorry, Nunian Singhs. My bad.
So he has. Obviously, Khan Nunian Singh has parents. He's not a clone. Okay, he was just a kid.
Right. So his parents are there, but he's modified by his parents. Maybe his parents
by somebody who took him, and you'll see a photo later of a bunch of kids. So maybe they took him. I don't know.
I don't know why I kept saying it's Khan. I meant Nunian Singh. But I'm so confused as to why her hand would work.
Well, the reason we're giving is that there's a marker. She's assuming there's a marker in her DNA that allows her to open the door. So does that mean that only people who are related to Nunian Singh can open the door? It's just kind of a dumb thing. So this is something you do, and I'm sorry if you're a writer for this show and you and you're watching us and you're like frustrated, I get it. I get it. But this is dumb. Like, why was there a handprint for her to get in? Like, you could have come up with any other reason. You screw yourself by making it so that nobody else but a Nunian Singh can now go through the door because she's able to put her hand on it and get through. Right? Because she said a marker in her DNA lets her get through.
There's a marker in her DNA that allows her to get through, which means, but you have to be like, okay, so what? If that's the case, then you got to go back and be like, why would they program it that way? Well, then maybe the scientists that are in charge of the facility also have the same marker, which means they're related to Nunian Singh.
That's what I'm saying. They're all Nunian Singhs. Now, I guess we should table this until we get a little further, because it will become clearer, sort of.
And that's when the cute reporter is like, "I've been waiting for you guys for 30 years."
No. Hold on. No.
All right, my bad. Go ahead.
Number one, she's been following them. Okay.
Right.
Remember, they went to Vermont and they're back in Toronto, but she's been following them. Okay.
She followed them.
Another dumb thing. Listen, when you're writing, you got to come up with like reasons. She put a tracker on him. How about that? She put a tracker on him. Now, why? At some point, since she last saw them, apparently she's now recognized James T. Kirk from the future.
Right.
So now she knows who he is. Okay, so somehow she was able to follow him and track him. Why she's following James Kirk, I don't know, other than he's a time traveler now.
Right.
But she's given up her, she'll say it here, she's given up destroying the cold fusion reactor to do something different now. Now, she doesn't know who La'an is. Nunian Singh doesn't know who she is, doesn't know where she knows shit about La'an. Okay? Because in her future time, she blows up the cold fusion reactor. La'an doesn't exist.
Right.
Okay? She doesn't know who she is. She doesn't talk about her, nothing. But yet, she's following them here to this point. Because the overall goal, as we learn now, to blow up the cold fusion reactor was simply done to kill Khan. That's why they blew up the cold fusion reactor in the first place.
Yeah, it's super convoluted.
And by killing Khan in 2022, we'll get there, guys. We'll get there. By killing Khan in 2022, it basically allows humanity doesn't become the hill on the, you know, the bright hill on the future. It's not the it doesn't become the Federation. The Vulcans never come. All this stuff, basically because they killed Khan,
right.
Saying that humanity needs its dark side in order to become. Which I agree. You know, you have to have. You know, I tend to agree with the fact that, you know, bad things have to happen for you to have good things.
Well, I mean, yeah. Hard times create hard men. Hard men create good times. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, I mean, war sucks, but it did bring about decades of technological advancement, social programs. You know, wars do sort of hasten, progress, because after it's done, you got to like go hyper mode into making sure it doesn't happen again. So yeah. That's a fact. What did Gary Oldman say in Fifth Element? He goes, everyone hates war, but war brings chaos. In chaos, there is opportunity. Yeah,
true.
Yeah, good point.
So basically the photo girl. So you got to go all the way back to the beginning where we said she's taking pictures of the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Why was she taking pictures of the bridge?
Right.
We don't know. What was the point? It seemed dumb, right? She's taking pictures of the bridge that assuming that she wasn't the one who blew up the bridge. She said it. I'm not the one who blew up the bridge. They blew up the bridge. This is why it gets confusing. And I think there's Romulans in this time frame. It's not just time traveling Romulans, because she keeps referring to them as they, right? And some other element, some other organization, a present. And he says, in my time, the Romulans. Okay. So anyways, I don't know exactly.
But why would they even be there? Why are we a threat to them? Why are they even hiding there? Like, if they have starships, they could just take us all out in 2022.
Dog, I don't know, man.
Why would they be trying to change the course of history unless they know that there's a history to change?
I mean, there's obviously some time travelers coming back. I get what you're saying. It's extraordinarily convoluted, everything she says. So why is she taking pictures of the bridge? Why does she meet them on the street? Why is she following them? Because they're following. Why does she help them get off? Why does she tell them the weird conspiracy theory things about there being aliens and stuff? Why does all these things happen so that at the end and they did it. The reason why it happened was they wanted to give us they wanted to trick us. They trick us and she's the bad guy in the end. It just didn't work though. Now we find out she's a Romulan and it's like, then why did she do all the stuff she did earlier? It makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, you're right. And you know what? That deserves
downvote that for me.
I'm downvoting. Yeah. And I didn't even put all that together the first time I watched it. Now, the more I'm thinking about it, and the more you're talking, I'm like, yeah, her entire character is nothing but a bunch of complex road stop, dead ends that don't really add up to anything.
Right.
Like it's complex for no reason. It doesn't actually paint a picture. It's just a bunch of. It's very odd. This whole setup is odd. They should have had a different person there.
It would have been.
That could have solved this entire problem.
It would have cost more money to have another speaking part. There's a reason. We're going to get to the whole money thing, but let's finish telling the story here. So apparently, she says they've been slowing human progress for a long time. So I guess they've been involved in this whole time shenanigans. We learn here that there's been.
Slowing human progress, and Khan was supposed to happen in the late 90s.
That's what I'm just about to say.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
Okay, so no, you're right. So she says, right, they've been having time wars have been occurring over Khan and she's been here for 30 years. She's been here for 30 years waiting for the moment to kill Khan. And time shenanigans. Now, here's what we got to tell you guys. We're about to see Khan. Khan's 9 years old.
Right. He's super young.
2022.
Right.
Now,
he should be a full-grown man.
We know that Khan was born. Well, Khan made a bunch of problems starting back in like in the mid 90s.
Yep, 96.
So she says she's been there since 92 to kill Khan. So that means Khan would have been born in the 60s. So why is Khan?
Why
is Khan? Yep. Why is Khan?
Because if the eugenic war started in the late 90s, he would have been in his 20s, 30s,
at least 30. Yeah.
Yeah. So in minimum, he should have been born in the 70s.
Right. At the minimum. But he's not. He's a kid who was obviously born in like 2015. Right here. So
she should have said, we've been here for 60 years. Slowing progress. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Right. It doesn't matter because this is not what happened in TOS. Let me repeat. At this very moment, with this girl standing here with this gun and Khan being 8 or 9 years old, this is the Strange New Worlds timeline. Actual timeline.
Right.
So if Khan is 8 or 9 years old in 2022, in the Strange New Worlds timeline, Strange New Worlds, as we're watching it, cannot exist in Star Trek Legacy. They are in different timelines. It's 100% irrefutable.
Right, yeah. This episode actually completely is proof that unaware to La'an and Pike and their crew, they are not aware of this. They are in a different timeline than Star Trek Legacy. And La'an saying, oh, well, the bridge blew up in my timeline too, immediately just like shakes it off as no big deal, but knows that it was a photonic bomb, immediately should know that something changed. There's some time shenanigans going on, and the Strange New Worlds timeline is not part of Star Trek proper.
And so it's not.
And that means neither is Star Trek Discovery.
So so Discovery and Strange New Worlds are not in the timeline. So here's what so TOS, okay, with TOS which happened in the timeline, we know in TOS what that is the time. Like when they did TOS and Space Seed happened and the eugenic wars were in the 90s, that was our timeline. That would go on to TNG, it would go on to Deep Space Nine, Voyager. Okay, all that stuff happened in that timeline. All right. But in this world right here, okay, they've gone back and they've messed with it. The time police, which you love, Brian, the time cops from Enterprise,
temporal agents.
Yeah. They have gone back and created an alternate universe. It's them. So they went back and so they've all been fighting over Khan since apparently the 90s. Somehow all of the different time changes that they've created have now created a universe where Khan is born later.
Right.
Which is exactly what happened. So this is it's without doubt fathomable. Now, why? Why did they do this? Why? Did they want to? They don't care about canon number one. Yeah, they've already said they've written. Look at the Gorn. There's so many things. Look at Michael Burnham being Spock's sister. Look at all the things. There's tons of them. We're going to do a video on this.
Oh my gosh. Michael Burnham is only Spock's sister.
In this universe.
In this universe. Bro, this actually makes sense.
Oh yeah. Well, we're going to explain it all.
So Michael Burnham is the problem the whole time.
No, it isn't Michael Burnham.
She got in her Red Angel outfit, and she went back and she changed time. And okay, go ahead.
It's these dumbass time cops that we all hate about Star Trek.
Temporal agents.
Temporal agents from 800 years in the future. That damn Enterprise guy. What was his name? It
was like Jones or Jim or
it was
James or.
I got it written down here. No, it wasn't. It was
Dawn.
Hoity name. No, it wasn't. It was a more complicated name than that. Damn it!
I remember. All I remember is he looked like a 25-year-old baby. For whatever reason, he looked like
Daniels was his name.
Daniels. Yeah, Daniels looked like a baby with a full-grown body.
Right.
That's all I remember.
So when Enterprise decided to introduce this bullshit with time travel, which I'm sorry, it's one of the things that really screw shit up. Apparently they've been going back and fighting over Khan for all this time, and it's caused the time to be all screwed up. This lady's been here for 30 years waiting to kill Khan. She was going to do it with a cold fusion bomb and blow it up, but now she can do it precisionally because she can get in and kill him. Why? She didn't know La'an Nunian Singh, who she was, or how she'd be able to get into the building. Why did she think Kirk could get into the building? Why did she think Kirk was going there?
Well, maybe the other agents keep stopping them from blowing up the fusion reactor or whatever.
Whatever's happening, it created an alternate timeline. And the reason why is for one reason and one reason only. Strange New Worlds simply couldn't afford to do a time episode. They could not date the episode, get 1990s cars or 1960s. I guess they'd have to go back to kill Khan as a kid. They couldn't date it. They needed to use current time Toronto in order to tell the story because they couldn't afford to do a dated show. It's expensive to find all the right pieces to age an episode. So instead of, they wanted to tell this story so bad, instead of doing it right and respecting canon, they have now done it to themselves. They've created an alternate universe, and it's obvious. They can no longer deny it. And based on what we're going to talk about over the next several weeks and the things that we're going to talk about, they're going to have no choice. But you'll hear them say it. They're going to come out and say, yes, this is in an alternate timeline. Because it is 100% in an alternate timeline. Yeah. They just said it. The time shenanigans have moved everything around. No, it's not. It has to be. It is.
No, I know. I know. Screwing it up. I agree with you, but them saying it is versus it is are two different things.
Well, if they don't say it, then it makes them look more foolish. They now have to say it.
Yeah, they have to say it. You know, Arch makes a good point. DS9 actually introduced the temporal agents, not Enterprise.
Sort of. I don't think they didn't go deep into it. Like Daniels was the real one that took Archer into the future, and we got this whole layout. You know, it was really Enterprise who fleshed it out. But you're right, it was introduced. I mean, we've had some temporal stuff, and that's fine. But you really kick the door in by saying basically that time agents have been fighting over Khan and have now created this alternate reality that we exist in with Strange. And it explains the size of the ships. I mean, everything that we've ever wanted to explain. This is it. And I got to tell you, if you've been a frustrated Star Trek fan because you're like, this shit doesn't make any sense, or there's breaking canon and the characters aren't right and Spock's irritating me and all this stuff, well, guess what? It doesn't matter anymore. Like, it doesn't matter. It's like watching Star Trek 2009. If you don't like it, at least it's in its own universe. I mean, I like it because I know it doesn't affect anything of the legacy Star Trek that I know. And so I can just sit back and watch it. Maybe I'll just be able to sit back and watch this stuff and go, oh, well, it doesn't matter. Canon doesn't matter because it doesn't impact canon. It's in its own universe. I don't have to be frustrated that writers aren't respecting canon because it's not, they don't need to.
I got to be honest, though, to be fair, I've always said since the introduction of time travel in, I guess, DS9 or actually TOS, and since the introduction of time travel in Star Trek, I always thought to myself, like, why don't the Romulans just go back and make sure the Federation doesn't happen?
That's what the Borg did, or tried to.
Yeah, and the Borg tried to do it. Didn't the Xindi try to do it once? Right?
No, they were gonna destroy Earth. Yeah.
Right. Like, why don't our enemies that, like, what did she say here? Like, how troublesome humanity becomes. Like, we are the reason why there's a Federation and these thugs aren't just running the galaxy, right?
Yep.
So then you would think that the thugs, with access to time travel, would just come back before we were a threat and make sure we weren't.
So that's a good point I think you make. And I don't know whether to upvote or downvote this because I'm not sure. Like, do I criticize them because they screwed up, or do I applaud them for making it easier to watch these shows now? I'm not sure which one.
I don't know, but like, I think I'm going to upvote it, and I think I'm going to upvote it for this reason. I think finally, when we have all those streams where we are arguing about the various timelines of Discovery and Strange New Worlds and the movies or whatever, now we can definitively point to this episode as proof, canonical proof, that there was a reboot, and they used time travel to do it.
Right, and this is the beginning of that reboot. So the 1990s eugenic wars is where the reboot happens. I know we have a video where we talk about the Borg going back in time, but that actually isn't far enough back. So this is where it all happens.
Yeah, the secret reboot wasn't actually far enough back. If you take Khan into if you take Khan into put him into the picture, yeah, it's not back because technically it would start at Enterprise is when divergence of timelines would happen, and that's not far enough back. You got to go back.
It's not far enough back. So case freaking closed. Celebrate good times.
All right.
Come
Well,
on.
so now we're watching a new Star Trek. Wait. Think about this. We are watching new Star Trek, which means that these people can be complete. Spock can be different because he was raised with crazy emotional Michael Burnham.
No, he can be an idiot now. Like Spock literally can be an idiot.
Well, he could be like 20 years behind his maturity level,
right?
And it wouldn't really matter. Think about this. We are actually watching a new Star Trek. We can have our cake and we can eat it too. We get to watch a new Star Trek with new stories in a new universe, but we still have like a version of our original characters. I mean, dude, this is actually freaking genius.
Yeah, now they just have to write good stories. Now,
I'm going to enjoy every minute of this now instead of complaining and nitpicking about all the 70 years of canon being thrown out. No, because something happened and we are in an alternate timeline where sometime in the past, probably in the 70s, something was altered or continued to be altered from the 70s all the way to 2022, 2026, where something changed. And that's why Michael Burnham is Spock's sister. Right. Spock's a little funky. Pike is still alive. The Red Angel suit, Romulans control, the weird jump drive, the ships are bigger, blah, 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 all that. The weird Klingon religious sect with the face, with the rappers' tattoos. Listen, all of that is actually canon, and we can actually enjoy it because,
in its universe. Yeah.
Because this is a branch universe at some point in the 70s.
Something's going to really upset you, though.
Don't tell me that.
You know what? You're going to be heartbroken in a second. I'm so sorry.
Oh, my God.
Klingons only have 2 penises in this universe.
No, that's okay. I always assumed they had 2 penises.
Well, I thought you were hoping that Worf had 2.
Oh, my God. You're saying Worf doesn't have 2 penises?
Worf doesn't have 2 penises.
Come on, bro. You kept the one good thing.
So here's the thing. Like, look, there's still going to be, listen, bad story writing is still bad story writing. So if they're writing shitty stories, they're still going to get criticized from us. But, you know, they get a pass. I mean, I may not like the version of Spock that they put out, and I'm going to say that, but at least it no longer is a reflection on Nimoy's Spock. This Kirk is no longer a reflection on William Shatner's Spock or Kirk.
Oh,
none of the characters are reflections on their other characters anymore. Now, you don't have to connect them. I'm obsessed with putting the puzzle pieces together. Now they don't need to connect. We don't need to find the right shapes. Now it simply can be what it is, and it can be judged for itself. And I think that that's a good thing, regardless. And they didn't do it on purpose. They did it because they didn't care about canon enough to follow it, and they figured, oh, we'll just explain it away with time travel shenanigans. Well, you screwed up. You created a new universe in doing so. So now you might as well just embrace it and say, yep, this is the Star Trek universe. It has nothing to do with the other one. And you know what? People will be a lot happier, and the new Star Trek fans won't give a shit. The old Star Trek fans will be cool, good, and you'll probably get a lot better interaction than you have on these new Trek shows.
Yeah, but wait. There is actually a little bit of a problem here. They're using Back to the Future time travel rules, right? Like sacred timeline stuff.
What?
No, I believe they are. Well, think about this. The guy disappeared.
Well, he was no longer in that timeline. You're right. Okay, the timeline changed.
So they're using Back to the Future rules, and if you consider this, when they go back and get the whales, like Star Trek is consistently using Back to the Future rules
everyone should.
And they should, but that means this is not an alternate timeline. This is a replacement timeline. Not saying we didn't enjoy what we saw, but technically, this is not an alternate Spock. This is technically the Spock.
You can go fuck yourself right now.
I'm sorry, bro, but that's what this is.
Shut up. Stop talking.
That's what this is.
Shut up. Shh.
We saw that.
It can't. Let me tell you.
We saw that timeline, but it's changed now.
But here's the problem. We got Picard season 3. So sorry. And that's still happening in its own timeline. And that's in a different time.
Different universe. No, it's a long ways away. Maybe there's a way to explain that.
No. I don't agree with that. And I will say they did make a mistake here when she kills the Romulan disappears, and she shouldn't have.
Well, yeah, that would if she kills the Romulan, that means that she was successful in.
Romulan's body should have stayed right there.
Oh, but hold up. No. There's a reason why it wasn't the time change. It was something else.
What?
Yeah.
She disintegrated
Yeah,
with a gun.
There was a reason for it. Yeah, let me show you.
I don't know.
Well, okay. So first off, here, so Kirk is like, "Why don't you just shoot us then?" And she immediately shoots Kirk.
Well, so we didn't get to that yet, but all right. I guess
we need to go forward to the Kirk. We're getting ahead of ourselves here.
Well, I mean, okay. Does anything else we say in this episode matter at this point? I mean,
yes. We need to get to the end.
Okay. Let's keep going.
So I like this. I upvote Kirk. Kirk being Kirk. She shoots Kirk. He has a pretty good death. We know it doesn't really matter because.
I mean, okay. Why would she put her mission on the line and shoot him, knowing that could set off an alarm and could stop what she's trying to accomplish? The 30 years of killing Khan.
She's an evil Romulan.
It's a plot device. They need Kirk dead to finish out the episode, and so they find a way to kill him.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I don't like that. That's a downvote for me.
Okay. The security guards. Okay, I guess you're right. Actually, the security guard's in there, and she shoots at him.
Oh, wait, another downvote. Hold on. Sorry, another downvote. So this Romulan just manhandles La'an, drags her. I mean, she doesn't even fight back. You know, and she like picks her up, and I know Romulans are stronger than humans. Right, but La'an doesn't even fight back. Okay,
yeah.
Until she gets to this door, and you're right. There's no security guards, no nothing.
Yeah, it's really like a sort of a lax atmosphere for like a cold fusion reactor. I'm just saying that's a pretty big thing. And of course, Khan is written on his door, and it's like in childish scroll.
Yeah, he must have wrote his own. It actually looks like I did it.
He wrote his own name. It was meant to be a child that wrote that. Right. It says he wrote his own nameplate for his door.
That's what it would look like if I wrote it.
And she wants La'an to use her handprint to get in,
which is kind of silly. Like she can't kill her, obviously.
Yeah, and the chat has a good point. Like these handprints don't work based on DNA. It's like I'm not. They just don't. Look, you know why it's a handprint? It's because
it's easy.
Your prints. You have prints on your fingers and on your hands. This is the unique part of it. It doesn't require DNA. It's your handprint. I've used things. What?
It would have to like prick her skin or something to get blood.
It's weird. I've actually used hand scanners, and it's based on the actual print of your hand and your fingers. It's not your DNA. It's such a silly thing, but whatever. I'm not going to nitpick over that.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. They have to kill Khan because of the Age of Enlightenment. Blah, blah. Who cares?
You know, it's funny. She kind of almost thinks about it for a second, like what it would be like. It's kind of weird that she knows that La'an, like, that it's a burden for her. Like, it was weird that she said, like, look, you don't have to worry about him now.
Right.
Hey, writers, this character doesn't know that. I know that La'an said it to Kirk, but this character doesn't know that. So why did you say that? Like, really need somebody to sit in the room with you and say, oh, nope, sorry, that don't make any sense. Nope. You need somebody who like said, no, that didn't happen. Why did you say that? Anybody, for the love of God, please. I don't care if you're in a new universe or not. You cannot make these mistakes
literally
when you're writing these shows.
Right? Yeah, it's funny how she's like, look, you even have that little box. It'll protect you from the timeline changes. Like,
no, it won't.
No, I mean, like, yeah, but she's got to put the box down at some point. Like,
it won't. Yeah.
Like maybe now, but like, what happens if she kills her ancestor and then she forgets to stop holding the box?
Like you can just shove it up your ass or something. I don't know.
I mean, I guess we might run out of power. I mean, this is whatever, stupid thing. All right, so whatever. They fight over that. They're gonna go in there.
But now La'an kicks her butt.
Oh yeah, La'an kicks her butt
earlier. Now she kicks her butt.
Yeah. Let's go back. I want you to see how look.
What's that? Oh, so did she push something?
She popped something in her neck that disintegrates her.
My bad. I missed that. So good call. She
disintegrated her. The only reason I saw that is because I was like, what happens when they leave a Romulan body behind in the past? And before they even started fighting, I'm like, well, I'm assuming that she's going to be successful here. and time's not going to change. So are they going to leave like the dead Romulan in the hallway?
Right. Yeah. So I mean, okay, good on them for doing it correctly and not just having it.
All right.
So
now here,
so upvote that one for me.
Okay.
I want to be fair. I want to make sure.
Yeah.
Ups and downs.
Yeah, I'm not going to upvote that because that should happen. But I think you had already downvoted it though. So
probably.
All right. So there is Khan Nunian Singh.
I mean, I don't know if I should downvote it or not, but he has like a clearly American accent.
Real quick though, notice she takes the loaded weapon, right, and sets it on his nightstand. And just so you guys
in
know,
case you want to use this later for yourself,
she leaves it there. She takes the loaded weapon.
She does. You're right.
And leaves it next to his bed on his nightstand and just walks away.
I think you're right. That's hilarious. That was a mistake in continuity.
Yeah, yeah, come on. She should have taken that.
Well, they didn't do it on purpose. I'm sure that they just forgot.
Yeah.
But he has a very clear American accent, or English, however you want to put it. I guess Western accent, and he is supposed to be Indian.
You're just a little boy. You're just a little boy.
She wipes his tear,
I guess she sees a picture of them.
That's a picture of, I guess, probably all the kids that were taken for.
So those are all the Nunian Singh kids.
I don't think they're all Nunians. Okay, so we don't know. We have no idea. Like, was Khan Nunian Singh? He was born to some parents, obviously. Apparently, the government got him when he was young. If you believe this timeline, now we don't know in the actual timeline what happened. We don't know his history. So, yeah,
it's so weird too. Like, out of all things you can change, like, why do you change this fixed point in the Star Trek universe?
Because it's one of the most important. It's a very important thing in Star Trek,
but it has so many ripples, though.
I know. That's why I don't know. Why did they have her as a character on the show? I mean, it's because they can't help but to screw with really important things.
I'm going to say what I said in season 1. No one should be calling her augment. It has been hundreds of years since her ancestor. At this point, her bloodline is so diminished. Like, it's so stupid. I hate that. I hate the fact that she's an augment. If she was just like a loose connection to the guy, fine. But like making her an augment, always so frustrating because she has there's hundreds of years between her and Khan.
I mean, but she's technically genetically superior to everyone else because she has his genes, right?
I don't know.
Is that how it works?
I don't know. I mean, what is she at this point? That 16th Khan?
Oh no, she wouldn't even be that.
What do you mean 16th? Right? It's like
no. I mean, it's how many generations have happened.
So how superior would she be at this point? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe they inbred each other and they're still powerful.
I don't know. So she chooses not to kill him. Obviously, she presses the button, and is that not going to mess up a kid? By the way, he just sees this person disappear out of nowhere.
I mean, did she not walk further? Is that
No, she just disappears. He watches her disappear.
Wait, left the gun, left the door open.
She left the gun, left the door open, and then pressed it, and it just disappears. Like, as a child, what if she's the reason he goes nuts?
Oh, dude. Wow. It's
look at that. You can see Caesar.
Oh, you're right. He's like, what?
No reaction at all.
Well, they didn't pay the kid enough to react.
Right. She's back in the Enterprise, and, it's her regular crew.
Hey, we get a Pike sighting.
Yeah.
How many? 3 episodes?
And he's not cooking.
Oh, that's a good thing.
They should have made him the damn hot dog guy. That would have been great.
No, it wouldn't have been. It would have made me so mad. I'm glad they didn't.
I mean, for us, it would have been great.
Yeah.
I would have memed that to high heaven. All right, she goes home. All right, now there's a temporal agent.
Now we get the explanation.
Yeah.
That's another thing about this stuff. It's like, do we really need an explanation at this point?
We just watched it.
We just watched it all happen. Do we need an explanation? Do we need another time agent? I know she came back to get her item, but
she didn't fully even explain it. Like, if she had come back and added information that we weren't aware of already, it would have been nice and helpful. But she just sort of like lightly recapped, and maybe she should have offered information. Like they were, they also mess with this time and this time, and I don't know. We're Trekkies. Like we pay attention to every single detail. There should be more. Anyways, so she gets her item, but La'an keeps her watch.
Yeah, so she kept the watch, and now it's a sentimental thing, kind of.
Right.
And this is where she starts to go into her, like, man, I really love that Kirk guy.
Yeah, and she calls Kirk.
Yeah. Yep, and she calls him, and of course he has no idea who she is.
Right. What did Sam do?
What did Sam do? And I really do actually like this moment. I got to tell you, upvote for Christina Chong. She really is a good actress, and I thought she really has some really good character development. It doesn't feel cringy. She obviously has feelings for this guy and the experience that she's gone through, and I do appreciate the emotion in this final scene quite a bit. So,
and that's it. That's it. That's the end of the episode. That's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Okay. So, just to be clear, this is Back to the Future rules.
No, don't say it.
No, it is. So
No.
we are actually witnessing this is like the softest of reboots, right? Let's use time travel to modify time so we can sort of do whatever we want to do creatively with the Star Trek universe and sort of start over, but not actually take away from what you already saw, right?
No,
But we can
by
also
you saying that does take away all that stuff.
but you can mine all those things for more. I mean, that's what's happening. And you can be mad at me all you want. It's sacred timeline theory. Look at.
I don't know.
All right. Why go back and rescue the whales, Shane?
Why go back and do it?
Yeah.
Because you need them in your future?
Why did they make sure they didn't change history?
Say again?
They made sure that moon, the voyage home, proves that they're using Back to the Future time travel rules.
Well, because they went back to their future?
Went back to their past, stole some
took
whales that were going to go out of business, brought them to the future to make sure that the probe didn't kill all human.
Are you saying because they took the whales in? I mean, they could have traveled back to the same future. Taking 2 whales wasn't going to change time.
I mean, but no.
Marty McFly did it.
No. Yeah, so you're using Back to the Future. The whole point about the multiverse is that every different decision is creating an alternate history, a future. So you can't go back into you can never go back into your future once you change anything.
Well, okay, so that's you're taking that version of time travel. You're saying it's that version now, where every decision creates an alternate universe. I don't buy into that shit either. Here's my version of it. Okay, they just created an alternate universe. Now they have their own universe, and our universe is still out there, continuing on as well.
I disagree.
2 side-by-side universes doing their own thing.
That's not how Star Trek time travel works, though.
They didn't create an alternate. They didn't do things when they got the whales to create an alternate universe.
Okay, let's go to Voyager. Braxton sends 7 of 9 to change what? Why?
Yeah.
Why? Right. There's so many. I mean, even
did it create an alternate universe? Did things
DS9
change?
when they go back to the 60s? What's that?
Did things change when they went in time? So you can time travel and not change anything.
That's the point of the temporal agents, though, is to make sure the timeline doesn't change. That's the point of that agency. The point of those time cops is to make sure that the sacred timeline is continued.
Well, Strange New Worlds use it to screw it up. So good job.
I think Strange New Worlds, I think that they missed something in like the 70s, and here we are. And they're protecting the wrong timeline.
Well, I don't know. I don't think so. You can make up whatever you want, but I think that bottom line. What I think is that our universe can continue on. Star Trek Legacy will not be a part of this universe. It's a part of the Star Trek Legacy universe with TOS, TNG, that universe, and this is its own little fucking bastardized piece of shit thing. That's all I can say.
From what I can gather, that means in about 25 years or 30 years, we will get a new Next Generation cast.
No, 100 years. 100 years.
Is it 100 years?
Well, in Star Trek.
No, I'm talking about in our time. Right?
Well, who knows? They can do that in 5 years. It doesn't matter.
I mean, if they're going to burn through TOS first, right?
Yeah.
Will be
well, that's gonna
20
be
years from now, we might
10
get a TNG series?
Yeah, I guess 10 years from now, likely would be more likely.
Right. Okay.
If they decide to even do that many episodes. I don't even know. There's 3 seasons of TOS.
Keep it going. Just completely retell the entire story from the basis of a brand new.
If they tell good stories with these characters, people will watch. If the actors do, look, they got the right actors. The actors can all act. If they tell the good stories for them, good Star Trek stories, people will watch. But if you don't, they won't watch, and then your show will get canceled, like Discovery.
That's fair. From Christopher Mays for $10. Christopher Mays is solidifying his.
This is like strategic army advancement.
He will not allow anyone to even get close. Every time someone is about halfway through his life bar, he just pops another $10 in there. Thank you, Christopher. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris.
I'm almost positive Christopher just he won this one pretty much hands down. Before I will be happy about this, I will require that Brian map out all the alternate timelines in sufficient detail for my 10-year-old to understand.
Well said. Well, we are going to.
I don't want to do that again.
No, we are.
What?
To some degree.
Remember the triple theory? That was a pain.
Oh, that was fun. That was fun though. There was actually 3 timelines. In this one, there's not really 3. Like we got a momentary glimpse of La'an in a 3rd timeline. A 2nd timeline, actually.
I guess.
Yeah.
A modified.
Yeah.
A third.
Okay. Yeah. So they have a shared timeline where they both go back. So that's both of their times. That's Kirk and La'an's timeline when they go back to the past. It branches. The moment of the right. And so that's it. There's 2 timelines. But we're in the wrong timeline of Legacy. So I get what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.